He's been around as long as I can remember. Well, I remember before he was around, but that entire time of my life seems like just a meaningless blur now. We met when we were 8, and my father took me to a meeting to see the King of Thracia. Who knew the prince would become my best friend? I was a shy boy who could barely open his mouth without cowering in fear. I hid under my father's chair in terror nearly the whole time. I was scarred from so many years ago, and I didn't want anyone to stare at my scars. He didn't care, though. He never even mentioned them. He didn't stare. He just wanted to play tag with me. He didn't care that I was scarred, scared, and shy. That made me comfortable. He acted like nothing was weird about me cowering away from him when he got too close, or blushing whenever he touched my shoulder. He accepted me. Maybe the first person that didn't try to help me through my shyness. We grew up together. He stayed over when he could, and sometimes I would go to Thracia. He was even there when I started skipping school to stay away from the people messing with me. I didn't want to tell him about the people bothering me because I didn't want to seem weak or like I couldn't take care of myself. I didn't tell anyone at first. I remembered what Fie told me all those years ago. Keep on walking. I practically lived by those words by the time I was 16. It felt like all I could do. If I could just keep walking, I would be okay. It didn't matter how many people beat me down, the stares I got from people, the shouts of murderer people threw at me. As long as I was walking, everything would eventually be okay. The bullying got worse. I never told anyone. I hid the bruises on my stomach and arms. I hid the black eyes and the broken noses and the busted lips. People would beat me up because they were scared of me. They were scared I would hurt them, so they wanted to make me afraid of them so that I would leave them alone. I became really withdrawn after a while. I skipped school to stay away from it all. I spent my days avoiding everyone, even my own family. For the longest time, I just wanted my life to be over. I just wanted to die and just lay in the white space forever. The only reason I didn't go into a grace period was because of him. Every time I saw Trident, I reminded myself that I had a friend, one that would be upset if I fell into a grace period. So I kept on walking. I remember a saying Athleo said once: if you pretend something is real for long enough, eventually it becomes real. So I pretended that I was okay. I pretended like every second that passed wasn't pure torture. I pretended that I wasn't hurting so bad inside that I didn't spend every hour just waiting for the next to pass. Eventually, I was so used to pretending that the feeling dulled. I wasn't okay, but I was still walking. Every time I felt like I was about to crash, Trident was there, making me smile again. He was always there for me when I needed him, so I tried to be there for him when he needed me. I was about 18 when I realized I thought Trident was sort of cute. Not adorable cute, but hot cute. It was around winter, which is vampire mating season, so I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just my hormones running wild. 2 years later, it wasn't gone. That feeling was still there. Every time I hugged him, I just wanted to keep holding him. Yeah, I was crushing on my best friend. I still didn't tell him. I didn't think he even liked guys. I couldn't just start flirting with him out of nowhere. We already lived together by that time, most nights slept in the same bed to keep each other's nightmares away. I decided that was close enough. I didn't want to make him uncomfortable. Pretending I didn't have a crush on Trident didn't help like it had my aches. Instead of getting comfort from other people, I just got more driven into it because Trident was always around. I loved the warm feeling I got near him, despite the fact that he would sometimes accidentally frost me if we touched. I loved talking to him and being around him, and when winter came, I loved bundling up beside him in front of the fire and trying to fight the urge to reach over and just plant one on him. I saw how happy Kajios Kadika and Ninan Kadika made each other. I loved Trident enough that even if he was straight and would never like me like I liked him, I would want him to find someone that made him happy like Kajios and Ninan made each other. Even if I wasn't the one causing it, I wanted him to smile every day. When he told me he liked someone, I thought I felt my heart break and crumble down into my toes. I wanted him to be happy, but I thought maybe we could spend more time together before he decided to go running off with someone to love for eternity. I was just so sad thinking that he wouldn't be in the same house as me anymore, that I would sleep alone every night without his familiar warmth next to me. Then he told me he liked me. Then he kissed me. It was such a simple touch, but it made me happier than I'd ever felt in my life. I felt like I was going to explode from all the warmth in my chest. I can't even begin to describe the relief and love that I felt. I didn't even know what to do. I was frozen for a moment, and then he just started to walk away. I knew I couldn't let him go, so I kissed him back. He's so perfect. I can't imagine being with anyone else or doing anything without him. I've spent almost my whole life with him, and a little over half of it loving him. I'm just glad he came around and saved me every time I fell, even if he didn't know he was catching me. Trident froze my heart to a stop, and I hope it stays like that forever.